Hey, welcome to Crisis Culture, where we glorify Christ and our culture. My name is Justice, and today is a Testimony Tuesday. See, the purpose of Testimony Tuesdays is for me to be able to share my personal testimony of what God has done in my life to get me into a better place. And today's story, I want to talk about the time when I almost went to prison. Around this time I was in college, I was supposed to be studying for an exam the next day. At this time, I wasn't hanging out with my friends like how I used to. I was growing up and we were going our separate ways, but we were still cool. So one night while I was studying, my friend asked me to go to a hardware store with him. Around this time, we used to ride our bikes everywhere and it was really fun. So I'm thinking, I haven't hung out with these guys in a minute. So I'm like, what harm could it do? I'm gonna go hang out with them. So we got on the bikes and rode our bikes to a hardware store. I don't know why I didn't peep that it was like 10 o'clock and the hardware store would be closed. Maybe I just wanted to hang out with them, I don't know. But I chose to ride my bike. So while we were riding our bikes through the neighborhoods to go to the hardware store, we cut through an alley and one of my friends stopped in the alley and he took out a spray paint can and he started tagging the wall and stuff. Me just being oblivious, I'm just like, wait, that ain't right, but whatever, I'm gonna go talk to my other friend while you do that stuff. I'm not gonna be involved with that. So he finished and he was like, all right guys, come on, let's go. So we rode our bikes to the next destination. We made it to the hardware store. Of course it was closed. I don't know why I didn't know that, but when you're young, you just not thinking like that. So it was closed and we got on our bikes and we decided to ride back. So when we rode back, we stopped in another alley. I'm like, I don't know, when I was younger, I didn't have common sense and it just, I don't know. It just didn't stand out to me. And so he took out the can and now we're closer to our home and he started tagging the wall and I'm just, let me go over here and go talk to my friend. So I was talking to my other friend. And the guy who was tagging, he said, hey, let's go check out this Dunkin' Donuts and get some donuts. They get free donuts, so let's just get some free donuts. So I'm like, okay. So we're out there waiting. And once we go inside the corner store, we come out. We see a police car pull up. Boom, stop right in front of us. I'm like, okay, we're on our bikes. Let's go the other way. And then another car come up on the other end and locks us inside. And they just blocked us off and they just get out the car and they walk up to my friend who was spray painted and they just start patting him down. Didn't say nothing, just started patting him down. And I can see the can in his back pocket. I'm like, what? So the officer realized that he had the spray paint can and he took it out. And he said, all right, y'all gonna come in here with us. And they locked me and my two friends up. We were in the back of the car and they drove us right where he finished tagging and it was still wet. And he was like, that was you, huh? We're like, no, man, I didn't do that. No, I didn't do that. And I'm just sitting there like, what in the world? I could have just been in the crib studying. And so then it got even crazier after that. So once they showed us where he tagged, they drove where we lived. And it wasn't far from where we lived. And right at that moment, you could see God in it. Right at that moment, my auntie was walking from work into where we lived. And I told her, hey, auntie, I'm finna go to jail. Tell my mama. And I'm like, what in the world is going on? So the officer drove off and took us to the station. And so when we got to the station, one of the officers asked me, hey, do you got to use the restroom? I was like, no. And he just took me to a cell. He locked me up. And my friends were separated from me. We all were locked up. And I'm just sitting here like, man, I should have just been in the crib studying, man. I knew I had to take this test. I ain't hung out with them in a minute. How I get involved in this? And I'm just, man. So the officer's asking for procedures, asking me questions and stuff. He was trying to see if I had a record or look me up, but he didn't find anything on me because like I've never been in trouble. I never got into nothing like that. And so then I'm sitting there in the cell and I'm like, Lord, can you please free me from this bondage, how you freed the children of Israel? Like, little do y'all know, I genuinely prayed to the Most High. I prayed to God. And that was the only thing I had. Because I'm like, I didn't even do nothing. But I didn't know you could be guilty by association. So watch out. If y'all hanging around friends that be on spicy stuff, doing crazy stuff, y'all need to watch out because you don't want to ruin your future because of something they did. And if you know you doing something or they doing something they shouldn't be doing, just dip. Just dip. They don't like you. So well, at least you got your future ahead of you. And so then I'm just sitting in there. And then next, I'm praying, bro. I'm praying like, God, please free me. I should have been in the crib studying. And one of the officers come in, he cussing and he's saying, he said, so these the taggers, man, lock them MFers up. Lock them MFers up. All that negative stuff. And I'm just like, man, like he don't even know me. And he already got these prejudices against me. Like, oh, I was just with him. I was literally about to be in the house studying for my quiz tomorrow, my test tomorrow. And I'm like, I just don't understand. And I'm just sitting there. All I had was God. So when you back against the wall, you shouldn't even just be in a state of like, oh, I just give up. Everything's pointless. Everything's worthless. Nobody's here to help me. God is there. trust and believe that the Lord can help you even in the midst of that circumstance, and don't give up on him, because he never gave up on you, right? So I'm just praying. And I'm like, man, this officer like, yeah, we got him, man. They going down. And he just real aggressive and disrespectful. The other officer comes back and he's like, man, I can't find you. Are you sure this is your information? I'm like, yeah, this is my information. And next thing you know, the sheriff walks in and I'm like, oh man. And he walks in, he walks to the cell, he looks around and he says, oh, so these the taggers, huh? And he's like, yeah, let's lock him. We got him red-handed. We got the evidence and everything. And he looked around and the sheriff said, let him go. And I'm like, what? And the officer who was cussing and stuff, he like, what you mean let him go? We got everything we need. He's, man, let him go. And I was able to get out of that prison cell and walk home. And I just thank God for that. See, that's my testimony. Even when you get involved with people doing things you shouldn't be doing, God will still be merciful, you know? And when you take that situation in your life, you just look at it and you give God the glory. You praise Christ, because even in the midst of your bondage, your slavery, he could free you. If it's a slavery to porn addiction, if it's a slavery to drugs, if it's a slavery to depression, if it's a slavery to being around the wrong people in the wrong crowds, doing the wrong things, call out to God. The scripture says, seek the Lord while he may be found. Call upon him while he is near. He is near to the brokenhearted. Just call out to the Lord and he will free you from that addiction, from that situation, from those people, from that mentality, from that mental abuse, from that physical abuse. He can free you. And look, and that's my testimony. Regardless of whatever you get yourself into or what other people get you into, call out to the Lord and trust and believe that he can save you. Hey, if you got any testimonies that you'd like to share, put it in the comment section below. I'd love to read some of y'all testimonies and be able to just, fellowship and love y'all and share some information. I appreciate y'all. See you next time on Christ is Culture, where we glorify Christ in our culture. God bless you.